and we are live for our 10th episode of the series Self-Love. Karuna will be joining us for discussing all about tools and techniques from the previous episodes that we've discussed, so stay tuned for a review and recap of all the tools. How's everyone doing?
Hey there.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? I like your background.
Thank you.
All right.
Did you get a notification? Yes, perfect. All right, here we go.
All right. So today we are going to do a summary of all the episodes that we have done so far, which are 9 episodes. And we're going to talk a little bit about some advice or tips and techniques we gave in those episodes so that it's in one place for you guys. And also helps to connect all the dots together. So we started this series on December 1st, 2020. And the objective for starting the series is to, of course, have a more fulfilling and happy life, right? And we thought that love is being such a high frequency. If we can invite more and more love to within ourselves, then we can actually look at life more beautifully. Because when you're in love with somebody, the world is so much better and more beautiful. Even challenges you can face so much more easy. So instead of just thinking of being in love with somebody else, can you start loving yourself more and more? Because being an energy healer, I know that your energy is so important and you use your energy in everything that you do. So can you make your energy more positive? Can you fill it with more love? And that's how we started the whole series. And in the first episode, we talked about getting to know creating a story about who you are and getting to know your strengths and weaknesses, because you need to know both sides of you very well. So you can learn to love both sides of you. Sometimes we focus too much on our weaknesses versus focusing on our strengths, right? And then sometimes we'll end up beating ourselves too much because we're focusing on our weakness. So we are saying that, can you create a story and can you look at your strengths and remind yourself of your strengths so that you are filling your energy, because every time you're focusing on something, that's where the energy is flowing. So can you focus and say, you know what, I'm such a beautiful person. I'm a loving, kind, compassionate person. So can you look at yourself a little bit more from positive angle so that your energy starts getting more and more positive, right? And then we move to the next episode of self-acceptance. Julie, you want to talk there?
I was just wanting to share that my favorite part about doing this whole series is, despite the fact that there's specific topics for each series that we've done, and if you guys haven't watched, go back and check if there's anything that interests you on whichever topic, but it's that everything is so intertwined and really falls under the umbrella of self-love, like you talked about. And how can you bring more of that self-love to yourself in your life in all the aspects, whether it's self-acceptance, setting boundaries, believing in yourself. And we'll go down the list and give you guys the techniques and tools that kind of came out of those episodes, but just being able to look at it that way.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of put it back, we just introduce ourselves to Julie, is a life coach. And Julie, you want to go and say anything else about yourself?
Yeah, we're both certified life coaches, and Karuna is also hypnotherapy, energy healer, and does past life regression. So you'll see that from our discussions, we talk a lot about energy and how everything is affecting us and how we can kind of engage and sort of work on that aspect and use it as our superpower to kind of bring more of that that presence within us. So yeah, I think that's
great. So do you want to talk about self-acceptance?
Yeah. So our second episode was all around self-acceptance. And I think this is a big word because when you start even thinking about what does self-acceptance mean, and I think you always want to start with understanding what your definition of a specific word is. So think about what your definition of self-acceptance is and what you can even start doing to invite more of acceptance in your life. And we talked about if you can't accept a certain thing like your whole body, can you start small and can you accept like your little pinky if that's something that you really love? And instead of getting overwhelmed and thinking of the big picture, think of all the little aspects of yourself that you really love. And it could be a physical aspect, it could be a personality trait, it really can be anything. And so we're working on training that reflective muscle of just going deeper within yourself and doing that inner work to kind of see what it is that you're really inspired by within yourself.
Yeah, and when you learn to accept yourself, then find it more easy to accept other person also. And we create a better world because we are more tolerant of each other and we are more patient with each other. Right? So self-acceptance is such an important part of the journey of loving yourself more and more. And then we moved into talking in the next episode about setting boundaries. And the importance. There's a lot of scientific evidence where they have seen that when you don't set healthy boundaries, then create a lot of stress and anxiety and frustration and confusion in your relationships with others and in a relationship with yourself, right? Because when you don't have healthy boundaries, then you allow others to push your buttons, so to speak, and that creates all kinds of negative emotions in you. And this is an area where we don't consciously pay that much attention. But if we can consciously start watching where we feel we are not feeling empowered in people and situations, then maybe you need to see, do you need to set some boundaries here? It could be simple, like, you know what, at the dinner table, I don't want you to discuss this issue of mine. So you can set clear expectations right from start. So that way you don't get into a situation where, the other person starts talking about your personal issue in front of everybody else. Right? And there are different kinds of boundaries. You can have time boundaries when you're working. I don't want to be disturbed, right? Or you could have cultural boundaries and say, in my culture, we don't touch like this. So I feel uncomfortable when you touch me like this in public. So, you can define what your boundaries are. And the earlier in the relationship you can set the boundaries, the better the relationship becomes.
I think,
Because sorry, go ahead.
yeah, you bring up a good point because I think that was a big part of the conversation was not only how do you set the boundaries, but also how do you communicate them and not assume that other people know. So,
Yeah.
with figuring out what those boundaries are and then expressing it so that, everyone's on the same page and kind of thinking of it in terms of like it takes two to set proper boundaries based on, who you're around or who you're interacting with.
Very true. So setting boundaries is an important part of having a better life and, loving yourself more, because when we unnecessarily get frustrated and angry and upset, we generate negative energy, and all that negative energy kind of gets stuck to your energy field. And then you don't feel good within yourselves. You don't feel happy in your own skin because you kind of covered your skin with all this negativity. So to prohibit having all these negative experiences and negative emotions, start experimenting with setting boundaries. You're honoring yourself, you're loving yourself more when you are able to define what is it that makes you comfortable and what is it that does not make you comfortable, right? So setting boundaries, I think, is very, very important, and we need to learn to do this more and more consciously, right? And also during conversations, if there are certain conversations that you're not affected by, maybe it's okay to walk away from those conversations in a party and move somewhere else rather than stand there and then keep feeling all this negative feeling or judging other people, right? Stop judging. Just walk away. You have a choice always.
Yeah.
So every moment you have a choice, right? So when you know your boundaries, then it's easy for you to enforce the right choice that empowers you.
Yeah.
Right? When you don't know your boundary, you're loose, and then you don't know how to react in many situations because you haven't set boundaries there.
Yeah, I
Right?
think you're leading us straight into the fourth episode, which was all about believing in yourself. And now that you do have those boundaries and you're, starting to get more familiar with the story of who you are, what you like, and what you accept, and all of that, then you go more into the believing in yourself and acknowledging yourself. And I like to say being your biggest cheerleader. Just
Mhm.
going deeper into digging into the aspects of what makes you worthy and what are your qualities and what's your personality like, and really going deep into that belief power that you are all of these amazing things and bringing in that self-love.
Yeah. And I think when you love yourself more and more, you will learn to believe in yourself more too. Because you will know what are the things that you don't believe in, and you'll be able to separate yourself from those things if you wanted. Also, learning to question your own beliefs. Most of us have taken up beliefs from our family, from the culture in which we belong, or the country we are in, and maybe learning to really examine. We are on autopilot most of the time, and we don't really stop to pause and think about ourselves. So, the year is an opportunity to say, you know what? Is this belief that I'm having really correct? Right? Like we have a lot of cultural beliefs. Like I grew up in an Asian environment, and we had a lot of belief systems about how you should be as a daughter, how you should act like a sister, how you should act like a wife, and then you adopt those belief systems, and you might become very self-sacrificing because those are the beliefs you were brought up with. And now maybe it's time for you to reflect and see, really, do I really need to be self-sacrificing? Is it in my highest good? Does it make me feel good? Right? Maybe there is something I need to change over here. Maybe this is the wrong belief systems to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gives it, again, everything comes down to self-reflection, because we're talking of self-love, right? So everything comes down to self-reflection. Reflect, see, are your belief systems the right ones? Are they really empowering you? What do you need to change here? What new belief systems do you need to bring in? And we talked about traveling being one of the great ways also. It doesn't have to be physical travel. You can travel through YouTube and videos also, and seeing other cultures and seeing what is it, how do they take care, react in a particular situation versus how you react. Are there belief systems that could be changed?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
And I think believing in yourself, again, goes into our next topic. We love to intertwine everything. Believing in yourself is also building that self-esteem and what that means. So you want to go in a little deeper, Karuna, and kind of,
yes, yeah. So self-esteem is again how you perceive yourself, right? So it depends a lot on the story you've created for yourself, right? So according to that, you will decide whether you are worthy of something or not, right? So self-esteem depends a lot on the story, and therefore we started the whole episode with creating a story for yourself. Another thing about self-esteem, I think important technique we talked about was allowing yourself to be unique and different. You don't really have to fit into the mold created by society, right? Figure out your differences, what makes you unique, and accept it, and set correct boundaries so that people are okay, or even if they are not okay, you have set the boundaries saying, this is how I approach things, and that works for me. So I'm going to be doing it this way, right? So that's allowing yourself to be unique. Also, the other thing you can think about is all the limitations that you've placed around yourself might affect your self-esteem too, right? I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, or whatever beliefs or limitations you placed. Maybe you need to unlock yourself from those limitations, right? Basically, you need to bring up your self-esteem and self-confidence by yourself, not waiting for other people to approve your actions and decisions to know how good you are. You need to know how good you are by yourself. You need to know if you're an orange or a pineapple, so that nobody defines what kind of fruit you are. If I know I'm an orange, and if somebody calls me an apple or a mango, I'm okay with that, because I don't have to change my identity because they call me something else. I know who I am.
yeah. And I think the technique we called that with was the reject technique. When you know said and someone comes at you and says, no, you're this way, you can energetically, disconnect and reject that feedback or that energy, because you can just simply say, no, I reject that. I'm either no longer this way, or I don't see myself as this way. And you build on your self-esteem that way, instead of just always being, like you said, Karuna, at the approval of others, or always wondering what everyone else has to say about you.
Yeah, but rely on yourself, guys. This is your journey, this is your life, and you have every right to live your life the way you want to. And if you can move more and more away from societal rules and rules set by others, which are not empowering you, and learn to live your own life, believe in yourself, your self esteem will go up, right? And we are all having positives and negatives, each and every human being. Some
Yeah.
people have learned to put better mask, and they might be masking their vulnerabilities or their weaknesses. But as a life coach and as a healer, I can tell you, I work with clients from all strata of society, right? And everybody, doesn't matter who it is, has issues, because that is the journey of life. We are here to discover ourselves. We are here to know who we are. We are here to capitalize on our strengths and work on our weaknesses, right? So don't go by external things, especially in this world of social media, where people kind of post all kinds of things showing that they are very happy, very excited about their life. But sometimes it's, yeah, part of their life is very happy, but some parts of it, they are still working on it too, just like you and me and everybody else.
Yeah. And this perception of others kind of leads us into our episode number 6, which was all about limiting beliefs, and questioning sort of where those beliefs are coming from. As you know, we both love metaphors, so we had a box analogy, and thinking of the limiting beliefs as just the size of the container that you're in, and how can you kind of expand that container a little bigger to grow a little more versus staying in that comfort zone and staying within that box. And these limiting beliefs can come from childhood, things that we adopted as we grew up. They can be culturally, they can be based around our friends or what we hear, and just being able to question kind of where this belief is coming from, or what even is the belief that is sort of limiting me to accomplishing whatever I want to be doing, and thinking of limiting beliefs as far as like the box that we're putting ourselves in, and why do we put ourselves in this box.
And as long as you're inside the box, you're going to feel comfort. It may not be comfortable, but you're comfort because you know everything inside the box, right? So always living on the edge of the box is what we were talking about in that, so that you're moving from comfort to discomfort. So you're making things which are not comfortable and expanding your box so they become comfortable to you. And that's how you expand as a soul, because you are a limitless being. And when you put yourself in a box, you're limiting yourself. And your beliefs are creating the edges of the box. So can you open your beliefs up more and more so you can accept more and more of the world around you, accept more and more of the people around you who are different from you, right? And learn to see things from a higher perspective. So the objective is, can you keep expanding yourself more and more till you reach a level which is enlightenment, which is what every soul is craving, right? Eternal bliss and happiness and joy. And that will happen when your box is very, very big, till it comes to a point that you don't even need a box because you understand the entire universe. Right. So, yeah, the box analogy was a good one to remind us of, Julie.
Definitely. And then here we go again, leading into our 7th episode of self-talk. Now that you're realizing all these things, and now you're ready to get out of your comfort zone and get out of that box, how do you get better at your self-talk?
Yeah, and self-talk is very important because you're talking to yourself all the time, right? Whether you're consciously aware of it or not, your actions are another way in which you talk about yourself. The actions you take, the way you behave, your habits and behaviors. So we talked about words being energy, very powerful energy, right? Thoughts are energy, but words are concentrated forms of thoughts. So be careful of the words you use. And we talked about what you sow is what you reap. So you may think that your words are not affecting you, but they're affecting you very much. Okay, as an energy being, words are energy and they are like sticking to your energy field. So even if you're pointing a finger at somebody else and judging them or criticizing them, since you used a negative word, that word is going to circulate in your energy field. Right? So be very careful about the words you use. And of course, how you talk to yourself. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Nobody in my family did this. I'm not good enough to, wear those kinds of clothes. I don't have a perfect body. I don't have a perfect car. You're just bringing negativity inside of you. Yeah. So it comes back to your story. Can you create a positive story about yourself and put those high-powered words within you? So we talked about the technique over there is, even if you start a sentence negatively, can you end it correctly? So I'm not good enough. Oh, but that's the old me. The new me, I'm getting better each and every day.
Yeah.
Or even endings with something simple like, okay, I'm not very good at that, but you know what? I still love myself very much. So love is such a powerful word that to use, that can you bring that word more and more in your energy field, because that's a very high frequency word. And one powerful word can transmute and remove a lot of negativity. Again, energy, sine waves, right? So if one positive person can affect hundreds of negative person, right? That's why there are millions of monasteries and things of Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and everybody out there, right? The one positive person affecting so many people. So one positive word that you use with great passion within yourself can remove a lot of negativity that you might have stored in your energy field. So that's another way of cleaning your energy field out.
Yeah. Really being able to see self-talk as the blueprint of self-love, the blueprint of how you're mapping out all the things and the stories you're telling yourself, the things you're hearing, the things you're accepting into your energy field, and seeing it as the blueprint that's the foundation of how you're going to move forward into, loving yourself more.
And yeah, the blueprint, remember that word. It's such a powerful word, because your life is running by a blueprint that you've created about yourself, right? You want to change your life, change the blueprint. Talk to yourself positively. It's not only words you use by yourself, self-talk, but it's also the words you're allowing other people to use in your vicinity. The music you listen to, the TV programs that you watch, they're using so much negativity, right? Because 90% of the news is negative, or maybe 99, I'm not sure which one. But all that negativity, if you're listening to it with deep concentration, whenever you're in a state of focused concentration, you're in a state of hypnosis. That's the time everything goes in your subconscious mind. and people are glued to their news, and they are go into hypnosis, and then they are bringing all that negativity, because once you're in a subconscious mind, you're storing everything into your supercomputer. And believe it or not, it affects you greatly. That's why I don't like to watch news, okay? Because I really don't want all the negative words around me. And I'm very careful about the music I hear. And we can use the reject techniques, right? Because sometimes you're listening to nice music, but there might be a few words which are not empowering. So you can tell your energy field, hey, let's reject those two words, right? Yeah. So self-talk is not only about talking to yourself, it's also about what you're allowing others around you to say,
Yeah.
right? So that was, I think, very powerful. Yeah, it creates the blueprint. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, brought up a really interesting discussion that we had, whether we deserve love or not. And, how do we answer that? And everyone has their own way of answering that. So that was our episode number 8 in, going deeper in, do we deserve love, which I think is tied into self-esteem, and it's tied into how we're setting our boundaries, and it's tied into all of the things. And, just being able to ask yourself, do I deserve love and why? And, our technique was, can you ask yourself that same question multiple times to really get to the root cause of why you think you deserve love, and make it an answer that's more than just the surface level reasoning, and just keep digging
Mhm.
deeper for even figuring out what is the reasons why maybe you think you don't deserve love, and how do you kind of use those insights to kind of bring in more of that self-love.
Yeah, because we talked about using the hand, that the you have a dark side and you have a light side, right? And the game of game of life is to see that you bring more of this into your life and work on this to make it light. So one day you're enlightened, right? Because everything becomes light on that day, right? So can you, and subconsciously at a deep level, nobody likes negativity. So these are the parts of you that you find difficult to love, the negative, the dark side of you, the shadow side of you. And how can you transmute that? How can you even start loving your shadow? Because the shadow is also teaching you something, right? So instead of looking at it as a negative aspect, can you look at your shadow and say, okay, I'm not really good at this, but you know what? I'm learning and getting better and better. Right? So look at your shadow and allow yourself. Yeah, sometimes you're angry. Everybody is angry sometimes. You don't have to beat yourself up because you got angry one day. Right? So it's like, okay, but the anger is kind of showing that, I had these expectations within me, which made me, when the person didn't meet my expectation, I got angry. Now maybe it gives me a chance to look at my expectations. Are they really correct? And maybe your expectations are linked to your beliefs, right? So it gives you a chance to reflect and look at your beliefs and change your beliefs, right? So the positive side is easy to love, right? So we can work on that more easy, but that again, you have to remember your strengths. You can love your strengths more and more. We forget when we are on this side that we have this side also, right? So again, do you deserve love? Yes, you do. Every soul deserves to love and to be loved. I think that's an inherent desire of every human being, right? So yeah, but you have to first love yourself, because unless you love yourself, how do you expect somebody else to love you? Right? And we talked about being a magnet for love, because when you make your energy feel full of love, you automatically attract love in your life. Just like a magnet automatically attracts iron, your energy field is so full of love that you're just attracting more and more positive situations in your life. And even when negative situation comes, you're looking at it through eyes of love, and you can see the intention behind that person, right? So
I think we're so used to seeing a negative side and saying, no, 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 we want to get rid of this, get this away, or I'm blocked or stuck, and, get rid of this. But when I work with my clients, I think my coaching style is very much, how do we integrate the two and merge them together? Because to some level, your shadow side is helping you and is serving you to some extent. So how do you bring that in, accept that, and then merge it with your light side and create the being of who you are, instead of kind of resenting or pushing away, some of the fears or some of the feelings that are coming up for you? How do you use them more to your ability?
And actually, if you look at the darkness, is just absence of light. It is not darkness by itself. Because you bring a tiny lamp also into a dark room, the whole room gets lit up. So your shadow side is only things that you have not worked on, and you're not thrown light on it. That's why they are shadow, right? So it's really nothing to be upset or angry or reject your shadow side. It's okay. It is part of journey of life. It is teaching you something. Sometimes when our self-worth is not good enough, we are creating more shadow by beating ourselves up. So you get to play with energy. You get to be an alchemist. Take the positive, take the negative, convert into positive. How can you do that? The more you can do that, the stronger your spiritual body becomes, right? And more you can look at life in a positive, half empty cup or half full cup, right? Again, same cup, but depending on whether you want to make it half empty or half full, that's how you'll perceive the world, right? So if you look at it half full, then you're perceiving it positively, in which case you can come back and, say, yeah, but there are still great things going on in my life, even though I have this challenging situation, but if you're in love with yourself, you look at the challenging situation in a positive environment and say, no, maybe I need to look at this thing and understand what really drove me to do this.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can look at it, why did Julie get so angry with me? But if I look at Julie through eyes of love, then I can understand that she's not angry all the time. She just got angry one day, and I don't need to take it so personally, because everybody has a bad day once in a while, right? So it helps us to just be more accepting.
Yeah.
And understanding that all of people have shadow.
Yeah, and an example for me, personally is like I think of perfectionism. And when I realized how much perfection was slowing me down, I wanted to get rid of it completely. Like, no, I'm not be perfectionism, get rid of it. But when you start going a little deeper, you realize there's so many good things about perfectionism. So it's asking yourself, what are the aspects of this sort of thing that I'm associating as a negative or shadow side? What are the good aspects that I can bring in to it, and what are the things that I can start to let go of because it's not, it's not serving me. So for perfectionism, I'm holding on to this level of excellence, this being detail oriented, being really 100% into my work, and I'm letting sides of being making me procrastinate sometimes because I have this idealization that it has to be this perfect thing. So, trying to look at things from a holistic 360-degree angle of when is something serving you and when is something not serving you. And like we always say, it's never black and white.
Yeah, it's never black and white. And I think one of the simple things you can do when we ask this question, do you deserve love, is show love to yourself. Hug yourself many times during the day. This journey of life is not easy. There are so many challenges we are facing, right? So in that whole thing, can you just love yourself, saying, you know what? I'm so proud of you. I know you're going through a difficult, talking to yourself, self-talk, right? You're going through a difficult time. You can tell yourself, okay, Karuna, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Okay, we will pass through this phase. We've passed through a lot of challenges in our life before, and we've survived. And I know it's so tough on you to go through all this, but you're going to do it, So talk to yourself like a best friend. Give yourself hugs as many times as you can during the day. Say, I love you to yourself as many times as you can. Everything will shift. Once you shift your perspective, everything is based on perception. So if you can shift your perspective, then thank you for the greetings from Nigeria. Wow. Okay. So, everything changes within you when you start loving yourself more and more. And do you deserve love? The answer is a resounding yes. It's just that sometimes we don't know that. Right? We are all divine beings. We are all beautiful creatures. You're having an experience on the earth. So we definitely deserve love. But first we need to understand that from our own self. We need to believe in it, not expect that somebody should come and love me like crazy and my world will become right again. Nobody can fill that emptiness within you. You have to fill it to yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You won't even recognize that somebody is giving you so much love if you don't know what love is.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you watched our previous episodes or you want to go review, we talked a lot about how the external world is a mirror to our internal world and vice versa, and how you kind of play around with that, that concept of if you can love yourself more, you're going to attract more love from the external world.
Yeah. So everything, you're a magnet basically. Everything that is happening in the outer world, you're magnetizing towards you. So you may not like this thing, but you are creating your own destiny. What you sow is what you reap. Okay. And it doesn't, for those who believe in reincarnation and past lives, it's not that you put some seeds in this lifetime. Maybe you put it in some other lifetime, right? Because you may say, you know what? I don't think I'm a jealous person. But yeah, maybe you're not a jealous person this lifetime, but you still have those seeds of jealousy lying in you because in some other lifetime you were jealous. And those seeds, for some reason, are sprouting now. So just clear it. There's no need to get upset about it. Why am I sad? Why am I angry? There is no whys to emotions. You cannot rationalize emotions. Yeah. So just find some tools and techniques to get over those emotions rather than sitting and beating yourself up as to everything in my life is perfect. I have a great house, great job, great husband, great wife, whatever it is. And still I'm feeling sad. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you, sweetheart. You are perfect. It's some energy that is coming up from within you that you need to clear up and remove. right? So yeah, do you deserve love? You definitely do. And then
Yeah.
I think we moved into the next one, which was
Yeah, and our ninth episode is passion and abundance. So once you've done work and you've done more of that, bringing more self-love into your life, and you set the boundaries and you started digging into your limiting beliefs and your self-esteem, now how do you just have more and more passion and abundance in your life, so you feel more and more fulfilled and passionate about waking up every day?
yeah, and the main thing is your passion is your soul calling to you. Okay, because like she talked about blueprint, you have a blueprint within you of the life you're supposed to live on this. And one way to figure out what your blueprint is to find your passion, because your passion is what you came here to do on this earth, right? So find your passion. It doesn't have to be linked to anything that humans tell you, or you have to be passionate only about big things in life. It could be any small thing that you're passionate about also, because the energy is important. It's not the outer thing. So find your passion, because when you find your passion, abundance will come more easily, because passion is a very strong energy and it will move you towards the abundance that you desire. Whether it's abundance of wealth or health or happiness or wisdom or friends, so many different kinds of abundances, right? We all want in our life. But follow your passions. Your feelings are your navigation system in this lifetime. So can you follow your feelings? Can you listen to your heart sometimes? Can you shut your mind down for a little while and say, this is what my heart wants. This is my heart desires. So the more you follow your passion, the easier it will be for you to manifest abundance in your life. Because really in a negative energy, you cannot really manifest anything. Just like a seed, if I buy the best quality seed, but if I put it on a table and just expect it to grow, it's not going to grow because it doesn't have the environment,
Yeah.
right? So same thing. If you're in a negative energy field, it's really difficult for you to manifest good things in your life, because that soil is not good. It's not healthy. It's not nourishing. It's not empowering. So in that soil, you cannot grow anything. So that's why we talked about love all the time. And that's why we started this series on self-love, right?
Yeah.
Can you make your soil more rich, enriched, full of nutrients by putting love in it?
Yeah, and I think a side note is, how do you see abundance, and what does abundance mean to you? And for me, again, metaphors, I see it as a river, right? You have to see it as something that's constantly flowing, the cycle, not feeling the need to hold on to it, because there's this flow element, almost like when you're breathing in and out, you're not over inhaling, or you're not, over exhaling. There's this balance and this calmness of just, that there's going to be this abundance in your life.
True. And there is no other way to, we keep working harder and harder and harder, thinking that, if I earn X amount of money, I'll be abundant. But then if your energy field is negative, you're not going to really enjoy the money that you earned, because ultimately you're going to translate it into some physical issues in your life, because that energy is going to affect your physical body. So even if you started earning a lot, you won't be able to enjoy that money. Right? So abundance is also abundance of positivity in your life, guys. When we think of abundance, most people think, money is abundance. Yeah, money is energy and money is abundance, but there are so many other forms of abundance too, right? Because if money itself was the way to be happy, then every rich person should be happy, right? And it doesn't happen. Yeah, there was a study done in Harvard. I was doing this radio show in 2015, and I was talking about happiness there. And I was researching, and they did some research in Harvard, and they found some people living in slums in India had a far higher level of happiness index than many other people, the rich people, right? Because these people growing there don't have that much expectation. They're very simple, right? Little things give them pleasure. They get a meal and they feel so happy. They're playing in the streets. They don't care about getting their clothes dirty. So there is more happiness. They support each other because they are in the same environment, right? So maybe there are things for us to learn, that abundance, look at abundance from having an abundant group of friends who empower you, right? Having abundance of wisdom, having abundance of um, joy and peace, right? Maybe so. Then it doesn't matter whether you're living in a big house or a small house. You just feel abundance. It's a feeling. It's an energy. You don't need an object to feel abundance. You just feel very happy and contented, and very abundant within you when the feeling is there. Otherwise, you can keep accumulating more and more material wealth, but the emptiness within you is not going to get filled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we did an amazing job. Today's our 10th episode, right? And we've done a great job. And I think it's time to close the episode,
Yeah.
right?
was our summary of, all the episodes we've done from episodes 1 to 9. So here's a summary of the tools. And if you want deeper into any of the topics, feel free to go back and watch the replays on my channel at lifeisbeautiful.me or on Karuna's YouTube channel, Karuna Healing Center on YouTube. And
Right.
as always, Karuna, it's been a pleasure. We're wrapping up this series of self-love, but of course, it's never over. The inner work is never over. The topics are never over. So we will be starting a new series on self-empowerment.
Yeah, and we haven't fixed up the date yet, but we will definitely let you guys know. But self-empowerment, I think, follows very easily from self-love. So we will be talking on different topics in that thing too. And we hope to hear from you if there are certain things you want us to talk about.
Yeah,
And
it's interactive. So drop your insights, drop your next topics that you want to know more about, and we'll go from there. As always, thanks, Karuna, for spending the time to talk with us today. And we'll see you next time.
and you too. Thank you, Julie. And have a great rest of the week or a couple of weeks till we meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you.